We're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is SkyWire. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and I am so delighted to be back. I've had some things going on, and I've not been able to be here, but I am here now with my delightful friends and cohorts in our listening adventure. And so let me introduce everyone to you. If you have Dave Moore. Hey, Dave.
Hiya, how you doing?
How you doing? You look like you're in a boudoir. You can tell us about that. And
Yeah.
then we have Heidi and Mark. Hey,
Here.
Here we are. Hello.
and Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, and Margarita.
Yay! We're finally here.
And she's wearing a coat. I can't understand why.
No, it's like a vest, the fleece vest, and then it's my mother's velour
Hmm.
thing, and we have now here 2 degrees plus. Where is the summer gone? This is
You don't have a
falling
summer very. You don't have a summer very long there, do you?
No, not this couple of years. I mean, I have not been this cold ever when I was in Sweden. I mean, I've lived here 25 years in Canada, right?
I just remember you taking your clothes off. Now you're putting it back on.
Uh, when was that?
I mean, it just seemed like yesterday you were just like summer, and now you're like winter again.
Yeah. Well, it's good, and thank you for doing this show. And I love to listen a little more every day.
Good. Well, I am too, and it's interesting how more sensitive I have become because of all of you. And so, you know how we do it here. Each and every week we come together, or mostly each and every week, with a topic of something that has been presenting itself to me throughout the week, or something not just to me, but that I'm observing out in the world. And I am so I'm very interested in how the world is presenting itself to you and what has been going on in your lives in the last couple of weeks that you have been applying your listening to, that you have been observing, sensing, seeing shifts and changes, just what's going on. And for anyone who's listening, whether you're listening on the replay or you're listening to us live. We'd love to have you comment. So if you're live, just comment to us and share with us what's going on in your life. And if you're listening to us on the replay, it's never too late to do that as well. I mean, because we might be on the replay, we're still live, so to speak. So, we keep the conversation. This conversation is forever going on. So just keep that in mind. And so I'll, I'm happy to begin this conversation about a little bit about what's been going on because couldn't do the show for a couple of weeks. So about a week and a half ago on a Sunday, my husband and I went to work out and we went to do yoga. And I put my phone on airplane mode because when I'm in the locker room or wherever the phone is, the battery just drains really badly. So I put it on airplane mode. I went and did my yoga. I came back. I took a shower, blah, blah, blah. I come out of the locker room dressed, and I put my phone back on regular, and it's everything about my phone is beeping. Everything. My messages were beeping, and my texts were beeping. Everything was beeping. And on the iPhone, it gives you a little summary of what's going on, like who's called or whatever. So the first thing I see is a woman who I used to coach, and I've coached her son, and she gives me a message that her son was in a car accident and he's brain dead. And then I go to the next one, and it's my daughter, Alexandra, call me as soon as you can. Then I go to the next one, and it's my son-in-law's phone number with just like a message. And I'm like, oh, my God, what is going on? So I call Alexandra, and she tells me the story about John, this kid 34-year-old kid who was killed the night before. And it's ironic because she didn't know, 2 months ago, she didn't know who this John was. They met unbeknownst to each other in, a casual encounter, and one night we're together, she and I'm just asking what's going on in her life, and she says, "Well, I've met this new guy, blah blah." And I said, "Well, tell me, tell me about him." So she begins to tell me about him, and I put two and two together, and I said, "Oh my gosh, is that John?" So she starts seeing him a couple of months ago, and Saturday night before the Sunday explosion, she dropped him at a festival of whatever and told him not to walk across this bridge that only took cars. But he did it anyway, and he got killed. And then I pick up my next message, and it's my daughter crying. And she proceeds to tell me that her grandmother died that morning, my former mother-in-law. So in a matter of seconds, hi Elaine, I'm just sharing a little. In a matter of seconds, I felt like my body was like being electrocuted with two deaths at one time. And I've really been like somewhat being in this space of listening, of processing, of, figuring things. You can't always figure things out, even when you listen. Sometimes listening just tells you this is what it is, and I don't know I'm not privy to any more than that. Anyway, it was a crazy time, and I just start to wonder about life. And my mother-in-law was 80 some odd years old, so, kind of expected. But this 34-year-old kid walks across a bridge that he knew he shouldn't walk across, that only took cars, really, there was no shoulder, and gets killed. I mean, I'm like, oh my God. And so it just started me wondering a little bit and thinking and just using my listening and seeing, well, what did this do to me? What was the purpose? Was I supposed to be more sensitive? I mean, I realized I wanted to be less judgmental. I wanted not to come to more situations with an agenda. I wanted to be more open and loving. And those were some of the things that came from this experience. And that time is short. So, turning it over, Margarita.
I am stunned because there is so many things coming to the end of the year here and end of October, where the Hallows Eve and All the Saints Day in Sweden. We don't have Halloween in Sweden. This is a time of the year where there is completion. In the next 2 or 3 weeks, you can see completions. My father died this time, around this time many years ago, and there is a completion that who is going to die will die. It's perhaps destined, even though this guy got the message that he shouldn't go, but he took the opportunity to go to the other side at that time from his higher self or something. I wanted to share a picture I just drew about this, and that is the sun is shining above the watery barrier of emotions, and those who listens here, can you see that with the ears? Mm-hmm. They can actually perceive this sun. All others are going to go down. It's like a depressive state, chronic depressive state that people are in. You normal people, I'm talking about normal people here, not clinical cases. So we have this shields around them. That's what I wanted to say.
Well, the week leading up to this experience, my 3.5-year-old grandson turned to my daughter a few days before all this, and he said, "I want to go see Grandma Esther." And so she took him. And normally she wouldn't have taken him then, but because he requested to go, she did. And the Saturday, right after that this young man was killed, my husband and I were downtown, and I saw one of my business partner's sons. His name is Jimmy. And I saw this kid, John, in his face. I kept calling him John. And he looked at me and he said, "I'm not John, I'm Jimmy." And I'm like, why am I doing that? And I hadn't seen this guy, John, in like 3 years, 4 years. Hadn't even really, I mean, other than Alexandra, I hadn't even, you know, thought about much about our encounter. And then this whole morning, I'm seeing this kid and I'm looking at his face, and all I could see is this guy, John. It was great. It was like he was just right in my energy field, I guess. So, Elaine, we're kind of talking about like life and our lessons and how we've been applying our listening to our lives. And I've had a couple of deaths in the last week and a half that have really kind of thrown me. And I've been working at listening to even, I can't complete my listening even, because some things come easily and then the rest I throw it out there and there's no answer. So I'm being okay with that, but there is lessons for me in how I feel or how I've gone on or what I've said no to or what I've said yes to. So I threw out my experience, and I'm very open to hearing what other people have been experiencing lately and how you have applied your listening and what's come up for you. So Margarita was just saying that this is a time of completion, right? So maybe so. And what about you, Jeremy?
I've been trying to help a lot of people lately that are struggling with just stress and that type of thing. And I guess it's also been placed in perspective by people from other places. You think your own problems are so large, and then you have someone pop on a blab from Ghana and say, "Look, you Americans don't know how easy you have it. You have running water and all these things we take for granted." I guess I'm trying to learn to count my blessings and that type of thing, but also trying to help people pause, take time to relieve stress, take time for meditation, mindfulness, prayer, things like that, just to try to deal with chaos when it comes up and to try to kind of restore that calm state. So I don't know. Go ahead.
No, how is your listening? How is the fact that you have been tuned in more? How has that helped you through this process that you're helping other people? How has it come about?
I think I've just tried to quiet my own mind, and I think when you do that, you are more perceptive to others and what they need and that type of thing, and then you start to realize patterns that, suddenly there are all these people you didn't think were dealing with depression, for example, and you learn that they are, and that just opens a whole new way to relate with them and help them, and I have friends and family that have those type of problems. So that's, and I have legal experience in helping people through that. So I guess, just trying to be cognizant of what people need and trying to help them, even if it's the smallest little thing you can do. And if I can't help, trying to get someone else to help them with it.
That's beautiful, Jeremy. I really appreciate you sharing that as well. Thanks. I love doing this like this. I'm really happy that we're doing this so that everybody gets to share their life. I think that's really so important. And what about you, Mark and Heidi? What's going on there?
Oh, I find myself in between things right now. Some things ending and some things are beginning. It's a change of seasons. It's another looking in a new direction. Reminds me of back when school would begin, and I'd be all excited about the new courses and the new teachers and what next there was to learn. And I've been listening to people telling me wonderful things about myself. No, I don't mean to make light, but I am. I'm in conversation with people on social media, one way or another, and and I'm talking with people that I like and respect and feel more or less like a peer with, and they respond to me in a very positive way, and they say, "Thank you, I didn't realize that," or "I really appreciate your perspective on things," blah blah, you know. And I'm feeling a bit like a wise old man or something, you know. And this is quite a new position for me to be in. I'm able to give in a way that I wasn't prepared to before. I was too busy taking. I was still pulling stuff in, not ready, you know, not complete, not full, not at a point where I have some kind of surplus that can spill over. And it's a really new spot to be in. And at the same time that happens, it makes me able to receive new information at a higher level, at a less personal level, a perspective that doesn't, it's in a sense that doesn't care about me, that doesn't care about me and what's going on with me, you know, a level that says, yes, everything's fine, this is how things work, you know, you live in this time and this place, these are the forces you are subject to, you know, and it's nice that you realize that. Now, the next thing to do is, you know, move up to 30,000 feet and see the big picture. And I'm getting some really insightful people that I've been able to listen to. I will mention just one, Rupert Sheldrake, who is a scientist, but he makes a lot of holes in science. He points out where science is dogmatic, and he's just helped expand my ability to see what is actually happening, not just in this world, but really in the universe, right down to very basic physics and so forth. And so I'm floating on some kind of cloud. And then, of course, there's always the dishes to do. Yes.
Yeah.
So
The grounding force.
it's good. New spot. So.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that from you, Mark. I really am. That's fabulous. Cool. What about you? And I just want to say I love what's going on in the chat, you know, amongst all of you, sending love. And welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so nice to have Cherry here. Hey.
Hi there. Thanks for including me again.
You're welcome. You're welcome. What we're doing today, basically, and which might be what we always do, who knows, from here on, is just kind of talk about our own lives and how we are listening and what, you know, how we're applying it, what's going on, just sharing different things. So it's nice to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, Mark, it was beautiful just listening to you right now. I just feeling so just centered, just listening to what you were expressing.
I agree, and Nicole is in the chat and is in the comment stream, and I don't know if she wants to come in, but she's more than welcome to. So, what about you, Heidi?
First of all, I agree. I feel this in Mark, the difference, and it is also with me. We are listening a lot together to, let's say, new things, but they are not really new, but this is sort of a deepening in our understanding. And we are talking with people, and also Margareta often comes into the conversations, or Lawrence, and also Jeremy was there. So it is like, I feel like we are in a group, fluctuant group of people where we try to explore more about reality, more about existence, and it's for me it's great. And then in the practical life, the listening I have is now to my kitty. It's for 4 weeks that he sort of tries to live or to die and doesn't really know what to do. And I'm always trying to understand, shall I give him food? Shall I not? You know, he cannot eat by himself anymore. Shall I give him some medicine? Shall I not? And, you know, try to establish a bounding, and it is there. I feel that, you know, we are often we have done work, we sit here on the sofa and he's there and is purring, and I really feel that he is inside our field. Mm-hmm. And he sort of needs us, but he told me that he doesn't want to be put down, for instance. Today I asked him this without talking, you know. He is the warrior. He has always done everything
warrior,
himself.
not the worrier.
Warrior,
Yes.
the fighter. He has always done everything by himself, and he wants to do that by himself too. So it's a question, you know, how long it takes. And, you know, often it's for oneself, it's easier when, you know, when you put down the animal you love and then it's done. You cry a little bit, but then it's done. But you don't have to wait and to see. On the other hand, I observe, just watching him, I'm not full of, oh, poor thing or something. It's just a sort of, like you describe, for watching from above. I'm watching from here and just watching him, and without thoughts, just taking this in, what is happening now, what is the reality. And for me, it's seeing it in an animal is very much a symbol for what is happening with us all. So I'm sort of learning, don't know really what exactly I'm learning, but quite a bit.
Thank you. I mean, you both have such a great way of explaining. I mean, you all do. You have such a wonderful handle on how to explain, you know, where you are and what's going on. And I can feel each of your explanations as part of my understanding. So I appreciate that. And Dave, what about you? You're home, I think, in the
Yeah, I for the last few weeks, I mean, we didn't meet last week, but for the last few weeks, the time before that, I wasn't on this hangout, and I was writing in, and I was busy then. You know, last few weeks, I've been working with two of my guys in who are now going to train my program instead of me doing it, and one of them came to me, maybe about 10 days ago, and said, I have learned word for word the first 6 hours of the first day. So I said, great, you know, but, you know, the day changes because of the people and their questions and what happens in the room. He said, yeah, but I listened to the recording and I've learned it and I want to show you. So I said, fine. Well, he started for an hour and then he got to a point which is quite, was very important to make people understand what this process is. And as he was saying it, and as he went through it for the first 20 minutes of that section, I thought, what the hell is he talking about? I didn't understand what I had said before. And I realized that our message that we give to people can be lost in translation because they're not picking it up. We can transmit something, but when we hear it, it's like somebody telling me a joke and I and all of you laugh, and then I walk off and tell that joke to somebody else and they go, I don't get it. It's when we start to listen to ourselves, we find that sometimes what we're saying is not really what is coming across. And it was quite a revolutionary thing for me to listen to myself on. I got this 10-hour set, a recording of a seminar I did in Zurich, and I listened to it, and parts of it I know that they got it, but to me, the way I've done it, I knew if I didn't get it, or if I hadn't already got it, I wouldn't have got it from that. And it just made me realise that what we're saying sometimes and what we're hearing are really two different things. I've always said that what we hear is from a context that we come out of, as well as what is being said is coming out of a context the person is saying it from. But when those contexts are different, and sometimes it's the state, sometimes it's our mindset at that time, we hear it in a completely different way. And sometimes the messages that we're giving to ourselves and sometimes the things that we're saying to ourselves are not authentic. They're not the reality, they're not truth. They're what we're feeling at that time. And we're expressing to ourselves things that are not congruent with who we are. It's our moment. It's the situation that I was in Zurich with a group of people that made me say it in a way that I wouldn't have said it some other time. And when I was in a completely different area, a completely different setup, context, whatever you want to call it, it was being directed back at me exactly the words, the tonality, the phrasing, the breathing. It was like listening to myself, but it didn't quite make sense to me. And it was a bit of a stark reality to me. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just made me be more aware that what works for me doesn't work for anybody else. And so to get a point across, it has to be tailored and structured in a way that it's accessible to all. Mm-hmm. That's just what I found in the last couple of weeks.
That's a big point. That's a big point. I mean, and sometimes depending on what you're doing, I mean, it only matters if your lesson is your lesson, right? That you can hear it. Mm. But sometimes we're called to be doing something else. Yeah. And we got to check in with what it is. Elaine, you're next. Yeah. Wait, don't hear you, Elaine. Oh, there you go. Elaine? Nope, can't hear you. No. Okay, I don't know what she's saying, but no, I can't hear her. She'll come back in. Ms. Valentine.
Well, hi there. Oh, yeah, this is such a... there's no accidents, is there? You know, it's interesting. I knew I was joining you this morning and was excited to be able to come back and join you. And not really understanding or knowing completely what our topic would be, but yet, as I was getting prepared and dressed this morning, what I was thinking totally ties in with what you're asking me to share. So this is a real vulnerable place for all of us to be completely real, I think, with where we're at. But I honestly believe that's how we all grow, and that's how this world gets better, is by us being willing to be honest with our own experience of growth, our own journey on this path. And I know mine is a very strong spiritual path, and it's very interesting. I've learned from so many perspectives, and had so many teachers along the way, experiences along the way, and for me, what I've always learned is I always know my own truth. I can hear all of these different perspectives along the way, and I tend to know which is true for me, which is not. And I know my path is really about stepping into a certain role for myself in my life, but I think it's also meant to translate into my business, which it's not always as easy as we would like to think sometimes to really put that out there. And I think for me, the past few weeks have been one of really listening to spirit and listening to body and listening to my mind and looking to see where they're not aligned. Because I really truly believe I help people get very much aligned with their truth through their soul. And it's one thing to live it in private. It's another thing sometimes maybe to live it in the public. And So it's interesting because when we listen, we have a lot of different messages going on inside ourselves. And my spirit is always saying one thing, and my mind seems to want to tell me something else. And it's that mind of mine that's the ego. It's my mind that's, so used to what it was programmed and conditioned and have experienced in the past that still struggles sometimes to, get quiet and allow the rest of me to speak. And for me, my body is like the loudest of all. Like when I don't listen, when I'm starting to ignore and not follow some truth for myself, my body will get my attention. And so it's been a challenging few weeks for me, to be honest. I jumped back into some really healthy routines that I thought would serve me, and I instead had a bunch of like flare-ups, like from my fibromyalgia, which it's not a big deal compared to what I've been through in the past. However, for me, I always know that's a signal, something, I need to go in again and just really get more clear and get some sense of clarity. So I've had a lot of just exhaustion and needing more sleep than ever, and having to kind of dial back a lot of what I've done, which always frustrates me. Especially, my masculine, got to do it, you want to get out there, kind of, this is what I should be, where I should be, kind of mind. So it's always interesting for me to just allow all of the different voices to come up and let me see what they're all going and what I need to do with it, so to speak. So that's kind of where I've been at, just very much listen personally to what's going on and where I'm heading, and just, where I am right now.
It's tremendous freedom, isn't it? To feel safe in your listening. It's like, it's okay, because, you're gonna question, you're gonna be confused, you're gonna know, you're gonna wonder, you're gonna have a little gift of an aha, and then you're gonna feel something, you're gonna listen to that. I mean, it's such a gift. So. Yeah.
It is a gift, and hopefully the other side of that gift is having the courage to, to really listen in a way that you respond in a favorable way for my highest good, and also the highest good of all who I want to serve. And that's where sometimes that challenge can come in.
Exactly. It's very challenging. So Elaine, are you here now?
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Very good.
What's Elaine when you can't hear her?
I don't know. I hope I'm putting out a good vibe out there anyway.
I'm sure you are.
So the first thing I wanted to respond to was what Dave was saying. And I could say I was surprised to hear him saying what he was saying. But another part of me was saying, what happened at that moment? The words that came out of his mouth were perfect. They were perfect, because that's what came out. And even though there's a part of him that could look back and say, well, maybe it should have been different, or I think it sounded different than I thought it was going to sound, or it didn't quite impart the meaning that I thought it would. My thought was, when you have everybody gathered together in a room, you can have your own idea of your script and your message and your intention for an exercise. But whatever comes out will serve who's ever there in whatever way it's meant to serve. Some people will get stuff sooner. We'll have a direct response of transformation, maybe in the midst of a group. For others, maybe it will come later. And yet, I know when I've been teaching, there are times, the ego of the teacher wants to feel like people are getting stuff right away, because then it makes you feel like, oh, I'm an effective teacher. But the truth is, everybody comes to certain expanded or new awarenesses in their own time. So, Dave, what you're always doing is perfect. What we're always doing is perfect, because we're not just individuals. There's always a whole collective dynamic going on. And it's always the ego frame of reference that's going to say, oh, well, growth kind of looks like this, you know. I don't know.
No, you're
Dave,
right,
I think Dave, I think you're wonderful, Dave. And now to segue onto stuff going on for me. This autumn is the time of my sister and her husband's 50th wedding anniversary, my sister's 70th birthday, my brother's 65th birthday, and my parents, you know, they're on in years. Dad is 97, mother's 96, and looking like they're both still going to be surviving. When they come up to their anniversary in December, it'll be 73 years. How many folks get to watch their kids celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary? Not too many. So all of that is coming up for me, while also next week coming up on a year of doing my hangout show, the Holy Shift Show. And last night I sat down and I wrote down like the topics of all the shows and all the people who had come together to participate in the wonderful conversations. And what a flood of appreciation I've had. And also I could say I'm surprised at all the, the depth of gratitude and all the wonderful things going on for me right now, because in July my mother was very ill and I was wondering whether she was still going to be alive this fall. Well, she's had quite a turnaround. She's revived some, but it's also, it's a wonderful time of appreciation for me. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is recalling, and I don't know what conversation it was here on SkyWire, but it was one where where I was mentioning the image of the trees in the autumn. And while there is this process of letting go, every leaf has its own perfect time to fall. There's always the first leaf that's going to fall off when it does, and then there's going to be one that's like the very last leaf. And like, how is that decided? What a beautiful dance. And so just like for each of us, if we're in this body of humankind that's, you could say, letting go of our old patterns or habits or ego frame of references, each one of us will do it, in our own perfect time. And yet collectively there is this season and this shift going on. I'm rambling. These are the things coming up. I love being here.
That's all right. Just like you said, it's all perfect, right? I mean, it's all perfect.
Yeah.
So thanks, Elaine. Margarita, yeah.
Oh, I have to just show this. This is Elaine with her smile and heart. And then I did another one, and I said, that was earlier, make your mark. Can you see it? I mean, Mark, in the beginning, he wasn't saying nothing. He was just there in the background. And so I agree with Elaine too, that we really need to express what we're having inside, and then trust that we are who we are. And I'm trying to draw Mark a lot of times, but this was the one I showed.
So I'm curious, Margarita, we're all saying really great things, and some of the things are connected, some of them are just personal, and it's all perfect. But you haven't said too much other than about your father and the weather, about what's going on for you personally. And so you've been sharing about other people and drawing pictures, but I'd love to know about anything going on with you personally. And before we do that, I just want to, Nicole, I invited her in, but she thinks it's better that she stays in the comments, which is great. And so I'd love her to comment as well about what's going on for her that she's been witness to, watching herself, observing herself, seeing, listening to herself, so by all means, Nicole, share that, even though you're in the comments. So, Margarita, what about you?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to express myself in different media, and then drawings are really cool because that is another way I can listen to what's going on. And then, so when I drew this thing about Mark, and he's talking, and then I saw this image of him as the Superman in hiding, and of course maybe I'm seeing part of myself in that, because I read the Superman when I was a kid, and the cartoon, right? And yeah, I'm gonna have these powers, and then Elaine, who's there, and she shows this. She's always, laughing. Laughing is her thing, right? And laughing yoga, whatever. And I saw her as like a teenager here, and glorious, So maybe I can see myself when I was a teenager, when I wasn't so glorious, and then that can perhaps help people to see themselves if they do drawing. So. I'm going somewhere with this because I'm considering a kind of thing about learning, teaching people how to draw their emotions, and this is something that's going on in my mind for the last week. So we'll see what's happening with that. But it's so rewarding to engage in a creative project right at this time. Because it's like everything else outside, there's not so much impulses coming, and then it's like it's turning the attention inwards and say, what have I not expressed this year? What have I not listened to this year? What is left for me to listen to? And so that's why I'm overwhelming you with my little scribbles here.
Well, number one, you're not overwhelming us. So I don't know why you would say that, but you're not. Maybe that's one of those things about hiding. So you don't have to hide here.
I mean, I'm a Scorpio, right? Scorpios, they have a frontal thing. They are just so, and then inside, there's a shell around it, right? But the inside is very hard to share. And so I've worked really hard to actually show that soft part that's inside. It's very vulnerable.
You're doing a good job, and I appreciate everybody's vulnerability today. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really, and all that you're saying, since we know each other, we know each other. So the things that we're saying about what we're noticing about our own things, I'm sure we notice that in each other, and if not, it's good to know that piece. What, Dave?
I think there's Marcus, Superman.
Yes! Oh, you see? It spills over.
He's got a big M on the front instead of the S.
Well done.
Elaine is, what's going on, Elaine? Not what's wrong, what's good? Oh, she's not, we can't hear her again.
I just wrote in the chat, gosh, I'm getting weepy. I just love everybody here so much. It's just, this is what happens when the heart opens. We're just real. We smile, we laugh. We say what comes out of our mouth at the minute. Somebody else brings something back, and then we have a new awareness about it, and we just love ourselves more and accept ourselves more, and see how perfect it is in any moment when whoever's together is together. You know, it's just
You know,
beautiful.
it is, and I'll tell you what. Before today's show and today, I was like, you know, I think we all, maybe we do this, maybe you all do this, maybe you don't. But you know, you take a look and you go, you reflect on some of the things you're doing, and I'm like, okay, is this positioned to benefit everyone? I'm, you know, I want to, you know, from time to time I'll come and I'll say, you know, is this good for you? Is this the way you want it? Is this, you know, are you getting something from it? And I'm like, well, how do we monetize it? And how do we this and how do we that? And Dave was here and we were chatting a bit, and then somebody came on and said maybe Heidi said something about, well, it's a mastermind. And that was like, I heard that so clearly. So I want to thank you for saying that, because if anybody else shows up, they do. If they don't, that's fine. If everybody wants to be in here and just talk, that's great. Like, it has made such a difference and taken such pressure off of me that this is exactly it's all perfect, and this is exactly what it is. And I really appreciate that.
Do you
And
know one of the
anytime,
things?
go ahead.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Well, one of the things that Elaine was saying, I think, is the authenticity. Again, is another word I've used twice. The authenticity of people is that we can speak about our fears, our confusions, our concerns, our worries, and yet we have groups of people who come to us for answers, ask us about things, attend seminars, attend hangouts, believing that we're going to come across with the answers to whatever issues and challenges that they have. There are so many people out there who are in a position like we are, who push themselves across as a guru with all the answers. Follow me and your life will be as perfect as mine. You know, listen to what I say, do what I say, do what I've done, and you can have all the success and a happy, wonderful life like I've got, which is BS. Everybody has issues. Everybody has challenges in their life. Everybody, you know, will face relationship issues, death in their family, death of friends, personal issues. Everybody faces them. To say that we don't, and to hold ourselves out in front of people as if everything in my garden is growing beautifully.
Well, it is.
But the thing is, we have these things and we deal with them and we face them. And I think it's wrong when people say, you know, just do what I say, it will all be fine. It won't. There are things that you have to do consciously on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. It's consistency. But it's getting knocked down is one thing, but getting up is another. Not many people do. And when you get knocked down, we get up and people learn from that. We learn from seeing other people. We learn from all different angles, all different areas in our lives. Why are we different? This is why I like the fact that we're opening up and saying exactly what's happened to us without thinking, well, should I say that? Should I let the mask slip? Should I? We don't care because we're real. And I learn more from real people than I do from people who are acting as if.
Dave, that is like the best point ever, and especially about the gurus. I think any of us that need someone to tell us to do it exactly the way I did it really is struggling within themselves to trust what they already know to be true and to take what people are teaching them and apply it in a way that is true for them. And anybody that's out there who really feels that they're that enlightened and that perfect, that they have all the answers and you have to do it just my way, I don't know. I'm a little wary of them myself, and I think everybody should be.
But I think there are many people who are really attracted to that because we idealize. We want to, up to a certain moment, we want to idealize other people, and we think there is somebody who has figured it out and we have only to follow. I think it's a sort of an infantile thing when we thought that our parents knew it all. And we are sort of stuck in that and want somebody who tells us how it is and if it is good, but somebody needs to tell us, you know. And this is so difficult in the growing up process to understand that there is really nobody to tell you every step, you know, and that you have to figure it out by yourself and take responsibility for that. And knowing that you can never know everything and you can never be perfect as we so much would like to be, you know.
Would it be boring? Would it be boring if we were all perfect?
What is perfect anyway? What is perfect? Can someone please tell me what perfect is?
Perfect! Like me. Like you.
One thing. Sorry. Yeah, one thing that I noticed, somebody said to me, you know, I bought a brand new, was it a Blu-ray DVD? So I said, that's great, you know, what's it like? I said the maker's name, which I won't say. And he said it costs £700, which is about $500. And I said, wow, you know, do they sell you that, you know, telling you that was the best thing ever? They said, yeah, it's a lifetime, you know, no problem with it, future-proof. So wow, you know, and he said, I'll never have an issue with it. And it will never cause me any problems. It will always work. It's fantastic picture and everything. It's so wonderful. It's perfect. I said, oh, great. What sort of guarantee did you get? He said, 6 months. So I said, well, why do you need a 6-month guarantee with something that's perfect and is never going to let you down? He said, well, it's just in case it does break down. You know, well, there can't be any room for it to just break down. It's got to be perfect for good. And unfortunately, yeah, we know who these people are. They are out there saying, all you need to do is buy my product. And when you get to the end of it, you have to buy another one to make that first one work. And then you buy this one. And then by this time, I've changed my mind. I'm doing something completely different, and you've got to buy that. Then your life will work. No, your life won't work. Lives don't work. Lives have to deal with things. Life is life. Life gets in the way of things, and you have to deal with them. But all we can do is help our people deal with them by showing them how we deal with them. I get people asking me things on stage, and I stand there for 2 minutes thinking of an answer, because I want to give them a specific answer to their issue. And
So
one
wait,
of
can
them
I
said,
interrupt?
well,
So
when I
you're-
was just saying, one of my
Yeah.
guys said, why'd you do that? I said, because they learned more about my thought process and how I came up with that answer than me just going, that's the answer.
And that's your thinking process.
It is. And
That's your
they've got to
listening
have one.
process. But that's your listening process.
Yeah,
That's
they've got
you're
to have one
showing
too.
listening exactly how it's.
Sorry, I
this
didn't
is-
hear
this
you.
is
I
it.
wasn't listening, Marilyn. What was it you said?
I was interrupting while you were speaking. This is what. See, this is great because it's so important for us to have this kind of dialogue, to be able to even hear the imperfections in. Well, there isn't any imperfection, so forget what I just said. But this is really important.
Are you saying we should have been listening to that, Marilyn?
No, I'm saying no. I very often stand in front of people and go, "That's not what I wanted to say." But no, I think this is great because we earn this. We earn this. We earn this work. We earn the. Do you ever hear of liminal? Anybody ever heard of a liminal space? Where space and time just doesn't exist. It's liminal. It's the betwixt.
Oh, okay.
I think we call that the tax office over here.
Nah. In that space, we have felt that here very often, and we feel it in this, like not having to. Last night it was very interesting. This woman here who's done a lot of talking. She's traveled. She's done a lot of things. She posted this thing on Facebook that shocked me. She's a married woman, 2 children. She posted that she is bisexual. and she just realized it. And she posted all this stuff. And I'm like, wow. First I looked down and went, wow. And then I'm like, okay, like this is important for her. And people appreciate, no matter, even it's a degree, and there might be people who want to say less than that, but giving people a chance to be who they are is perfect. And we have to be that for that to happen. Or not have to, but that's a good thing for us to do. Jeremy, what are you hearing?
We were all talking over each other, trying to interrupt each other with the perfection.
Excitement, yeah.
And I was just trying to say we can only be imperfectly perfect. I've struggled with perfectionism my whole life, and I've finally had to let it go. And but it seizes me every once in a while again, and so I guess what I'm trying to get more comfortable with that, and just realize that I can let it go.
Maybe after today you will.
I'll try.
Because I know after today, having all of you share what you've been sharing, I will feel more comfortable in my own skin. Mark.
Yeah. I'm going back a bit to what Dave said in the beginning about his interaction with his assistant or student. And then Elaine commented upon what she had noticed about that. And I'm seeing this play of ourselves in relationship with others. There's a field that grows around. And this is one of the things that I wanted to say about my current teacher, Rupert Sheldrake, that he is talking about fields, where one person starts something, it makes it easier for the next person to follow in that same groove, and in time you get a little path going through the cosmos that the whole country can march through, and so we have this ability, each of us, to really shape the way the world is, the way the very universe is. The universe learned by a hydrogen atom meeting up with an oxygen atom and inviting another hydrogen atom in, and suddenly there was water. Something completely new. And now it happens all the time. No big deal. Water gets made all the time. And it's a wonderful approach to how the world evolves and changes and how we affect what is happening in this world. It's a conversation between each of us and everything out there, all of you and all of the world coming back to us. And it's really wonderful, and this show today has been a nice example of that. Appreciate it very much.
I would go a little bit backward with that. It is inside the field there are appearing ideas or whatever, and one person picks it up and speaks it out. But it was not necessarily only the thought which was born only in that head, but it was coming all together. And for me, when we really think about that, all the question about copyright will be superfluous, because it's just one person who picked it up and brought it out, translated it in the material world, let's say, But it doesn't mean that not other 10, 20, 30, I don't know how many people have collaborated, that then, it comes out as the artwork of somebody. I mean, I don't want to diminish your paintings, Margarita, but you are taking it as influence from us, and you translate it.
Those are our paintings, Margarita.
Our collective paintings in some way. And when I would begin to sing a song about you, it would be our collective song. So I think it will be really a challenge to let go of these things like copyright. And I'm glad, for instance, about the new platforms that they don't have this Google machinery of detecting melodies which somebody has published some years ago and has a right on it, and I cannot use that, So I don't think it is working anymore like this. That is one person creating by themselves.
So
It's just not.
this is very important because this is the light in the dark. You know, people see like the copyright stuff and how thick all that stuff can be, but what you just spoke about is exactly what's happening in so many different ways, and that is the light that is happening. I mean, that there's so many good things going on. It may not look that way all the time, but these different platforms and the way we get to talk and the way things are spreading humanly, they're spreading humanly. We will debunk all those things. Healthcare, all these things that people complain so much about, even here in the States, about healthcare. There are diversions to all of these things that everyday people are picking up and saying, here's another way, and this makes sense, and you can do this, and if you agree with me, then here's some information, and you don't have to do it this way. You can do it this way. It's okay. And so this is the light. There is so much goodness going on. Who wants to pick it up? Go ahead, Margarita.
Well, I'm not finished with it, but that's what I prove. With everything connected, everything shared in a collective consciousness, morphogenic field. I've known about that being aware of that for quite a long time, and I'm glad that it's coming up and we can share it, because if everybody is part of that field and then know that they're in this field and that they can affect other people, I mean, then we would like to be in our best self, right? Not the aggressive, the violence, and whatever, because that's being shared too, and it creates dark spots on the field, and then there's separation on the field, and then eventually the fields are going to come together, and you know, the world of karma, whatever.
Mark said it's coming together.
Yeah, so we have to actually be aware of that, so we can watch ourselves, and the only thing that you can do, in my opinion, is to change yourself.
So with that, everyone, it is time for us to go out and take what we've gotten today and enjoy it. So I want to thank everybody for being here and for sharing this time. And we'll be here again next week and doing more of the same. So thank you.